Hey friends, and welcome back. Today we're talking about hemming and I am spilling the tea on all my secrets. So if you are new to sewing or have been sewing for a long time, basically if you have ever sewn, you have probably hemmed something or you have avoided hemming something, more likely. So hemming, I mean, it can suck. It can really suck. And people are gonna ask you once they find out you sew, oh, can you hem this pair of pants for me? Can you take these sleeves up a little bit? It doesn't take long, does it? You just fold it up and stitch it. Yeah, and I mean, in theory, that is what you do, but in practice, it's different, and it takes a little more than just folding it up and sewing it. And if you do just fold it up and sew it, I think that's where your frustrations are coming from. So let me count down my top 7 tips for hemming for success. Because doing that little bit of extra work at the beginning is going to give you a nicer finish, less stress, and a little bit easier time when it comes time to actually do the sewing. I'll have anything I'm mentioning, so videos or products, linked down in the description box of this video for you to check out at the end if you're interested in purchasing or researching or learning more about anything that I'm talking about. Go check out that description box at the end of the video. So, number 7, trim after. And what I mean by this is don't worry about being right on the edge of your fold or like right to the edge if you're using a serged edge or a knit hem or something like that. Don't worry about getting right to that edge. I personally like to stitch on the top or the front of the garment when I'm hemming so that I can keep a nice even space from that folded edge. If you prefer to hem on the back side, that's perfectly fine. When you're done, go back and just trim off all those little extra pieces of fabric that are sticking out. If you have a pair of duckbill scissors, they can be really helpful for this kind of thing as well. They might also be called applique scissors. I don't know. I call them duckbill. Tip number 2 for easier hemming is to make a baseline. So wherever you want your fold to be, your hem fold, so your finished length measurement, you're going to run a line of basting stitch. And what that just means is set your sewing machine to the longest stitch length. On mine, it's number 5, and you're going to stitch all the way along. So if you want to fold up an inch, just make sure you're an inch from the edge of the fabric, run a basting stitch all the way along, and then you're going to have better success when it's time to turn, and it's easier to know where to fold it, when to press. If you're doing a curved hem, this is super helpful because you can kind of cheat and gather a little bit where you need to flip it and curve nicely around the edges. Tip number 5 is kind of a fun hack. If you don't have an iron, you can still hem. I've had people tell me, oh, I can't hem my curtains because I don't have an iron. Girl, I know you got one of these. Use your flat iron. Now, admittedly, I have never done this because simply, and this is really sad, I have owned an iron, a clothing pressing iron, longer than I have sewn. So I've always had an iron. I've never needed to use this, but in a pinch, it would definitely work. You can, I mean, use this for all of your garment sewing and everything. It's nice and handy and slim. You can kind of get it in where you want to. And a lot of them have, you know, temperature controls. It's portable. It's really easy, heats up quick. You know you got one. Use your flat iron to press your hems. And on that note, this isn't a tip, but just make sure you're pressing before and after sewing. It just gives a nicer, cleaner finish. Number 4, again, another little bit of a hack is to use something like double-sided tape or hem tape. This one is called Steam-A-Seam, and it is permanently adhesive once you steam it or iron it onto whatever you're using it for. If you don't have any of this, but you do have double-sided tape, that would work too. It is getting hidden in the hem, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But what it looks like is basically double-sided tape, and it comes in a variety of widths. So you would just peel it off like tape, lay it down, fold your fabric on top, peel the other paper side off, and then press it down and seam it. You can actually leave it like that. I've seen, heard people do this. I personally have never done that. I just haven't had the need to. But if you're doing something where you don't really want to see visible stitches, get like a 1/2 inch size of this, or you know, whatever you need, and then you can just adhere it with this. It is washable. It's supposed to be good. Again, I have never just done it without stitching, so honestly I can't say how well it holds, but I've heard testimonials that it is great. If you don't have that, you don't want to buy that, you might have regular glue stick. I love using this for when I have to put together PDF patterns. Y'all know I hate that, but glue stick you can also use in your hems. It washes away, so you don't really have to worry about residue or anything like that. As far as I know, I've never had an issue, but this is great for just keeping things in place when you need them to stay where you want them. This is also great for when you're placing on patch pockets and zippers and really anything that needs to just stay where you need it to until you sew it. Glue stick. If you dislike hemming as much as the rest of us, give this video a big thumbs up. Tip number 3, I'm kind of talking about it in terms of curved hems, but of course you can use this for any type of hem, especially if you want to keep more of the length, and that is to do a hem facing. I do have a full video on hem facings for curved hems, so I will link that of course in the description box below, and you can check that out to see exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, if you're familiar with sewing bands, it's kind of the same principle, other than, you know, you do still have to top stitch, but it's everything will match up and line up nicely, so you don't have to worry about puckering or anything like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work with like a circle skirt or something like that, so it's not foolproof, but it is a good hack. My second most favorite hemming tip is to mark and press. And I mean, you're thinking like, well, yeah, I'm always mark my hems and I always press my hems before I sew, and it doesn't make a difference. But are you doing it this way? Are you doubling up your hem allowance, marking that number and then folding up to that point? Or are you marking exactly where you want the fold to be and trying to fold on that line that you can't see when you're folding? I love to use my grid ruler, and if my hem allowance is 1/2 inch, then I'll make a mark 1 inch from the edge of the fabric, and I will fold up to that line and press. You guys, I really, really love doing this. It just, yes, it's maybe an extra step to make the marks, and in the time I'm always like, oh, I don't want to do it, but then I make myself do it and I never ever regret it because it makes everything so much faster and smoother from that point on. Try it out. And my number 1 tip for hemming success is to use a memory hem. I have kind of talked about this before, not a lot, but basically a memory hem is when you, let's take for example a sleeve. So you have your sleeve that needs to be hemmed, but before you sew it into the circular sleeve shape, you're going to press your hem, and you're not going to sew your hem in most cases, but you are going to press it up, and then you'll have that nice crease there, and then you'll unfold it and still sew your sleeve up the way you normally would. But then when you go to hem for real, you'll have that memory hem there where it will fold on that crease, and you're gonna want to press it again, but at least that line is there, and then you don't have to try and like measure and everything when the sleeve is in the round, because we all know that's no fun. So memory hems, I use them for everything. As much as I can, I will press before constructing a piece, or even on a shirt, like if it's a front and a back, I will do the front and the back hems, fold them up and press them before I even sew them together. Alright, and that's it. I hope this video was helpful for you and your hemming journey. If it was, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so I can see you in the next video. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye.